So you're new to Hampton Roads, and the next thing on your to-do list is finding a job. I know how scary it can be when you don't really know where your next paycheck is coming from. But today I've got someone who can help. His name's Tyler. He works at Aerotech. He's got a great team there, and the entire Aerotech team as well. They are a huge staffing agency. They help hundreds of people just like you in Hampton Roads find their next job. So feel free, he's got tons of tips and tricks to help you through your job search. Things like how to negotiate your salary, especially when you're new to an area, and how to kind of get your research going for that. And maybe even asking for relocation assistance. So stay tuned, we got some great stuff for you. Hi everyone, I'm Taylor with Real Estate Today, here with Tyler today, who's a recruiter at Aerotech. So Tyler, give us a few bits about you.
Yeah, so I'm actually the professional services account manager here for Aerotech. So I handle essentially all of our professional services clients within certain industries, which include transportation, life sciences as well, and then our manufacturing industries also. And so I manage a team of recruiters that work to fill those positions for our clients and work with folks who are looking for work to help them find their next career opportunity.
That is so exciting, because I know here in Hampton Roads, we've got a lot of people in and out for military and for family and for other reasons. So when you're new to an area, what's the best way to find the best companies to work for?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I always start with research, right? Like, we are in the age of information, so making sure that you utilize all that's out there to kind of dig through and find out what you can on the web. Talking to local resources. We have a Virginia Employment Commission. They're a great resource to kind of get the insider scoop on certain companies. Best places to work, Virginia.com. Glassdoor, which is more of a national source to find out some information, has a lot of different reviews and from current and past employees. And also a well-informed recruiter will also give you a hand to kind of steer you in the right direction based on what you're looking for in your next company.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. So like you start with different internet searches and then even reaching out to people in the community that might have some tidbits too.
Yeah, and what I always tell people is, hear everything preferably 3 times, but hear everything twice. A lot of times the loudest opinions are the when folks have negative experiences. So if you hear something once, do a little bit more research. Just don't make a judgment call. And, no one calls Verizon Wireless says, hey, I had a great service this month, usually call to complain. So sometimes the good things aren't as, like I said, loud, but they are out there, and multiple sources is always a good idea.
Yeah, that is very true. So when you're coming to a new area, and let's say a lot of people network, but when you're new and you don't know anyone, what is the best way to land an interview for a company that you really are interested in?
Yeah, it's tough being somewhere new, not having, kind of that foot in the door where a lot of people find opportunities. What I would tend to tell folks is, your resume is your conduit between you and potential employers. So making sure that's up to par is really important. Making sure it's concise, managers who are considering you for an opportunity, because, a lot of times it is digital. You don't walk in and hand in resumes a lot, especially in today's age. Make sure that resume is really well put together, concise, has relevant information to those managers, and makes them want to stop and look at your resume a little bit more in depth. Because to be honest, most folks glance at it 10, 15 seconds to see if they see certain buzzwords apply to that job. So if you're not catching their eye quickly, you're at risk of kind of having them pass over you intentionally or unintentionally. So what I always recommend is just a key qualifications point at the top. And whatever job you're applying for, the buzzwords that if they require 5 years of paralegal experience and you have 10, make sure that's your first line. If they require certification of some sort, make sure that's in there as well. But yeah, your resume is a great tool. Staffing agencies like that I work out with Aerotech, it's our job to be in tune and have relationships with these managers and these companies. So a lot of times, instead of you sending your resume into a black hole, hoping it gets looked at, we're handing it directly to that manager. And there's different agencies such as Aerotech for all different industries, right? So you can find yourself quite a few different, people to help you put irons in the fire, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I would say initiative and standing out in a positive way, right? Like, if everyone's applying and going for a job, find a way to be maybe a little creative. LinkedIn that manager that you just applied to and say, hey,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And in advance, I'd like to take a moment to just, thank you in advance for your consideration of my application for XYZ posting.
Yeah.
If we get to a point where it's okay to pop in and, offer your resume in person, that's also
Outside of COVID, right?
Yeah, exactly. Any way to differentiate yourself is, again, within reason, not too aggressive, but I think that's a good tip.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet because I know there are lots of different ways to prepare. So you've got your resume and then potentially reaching out on LinkedIn. I love that.
Yeah.
Are there any other ways to prepare for an interview when you're new in town? Is there anything specific, any kind of specific research you should do?
Yeah, again, research, the internet is your friend. There's a lot of interview tips, etiquette videos on YouTube, on Google, whatever you want to look through. Even if you feel great about your interview skills, interviewing, not a lot of people interview a lot, right? So you want to practice. And so what I recommend is, if you have a significant other or friend or family member that you can, kind of role play some questions with just to knock that rust off a bit, that's always a good idea. Another way, again, just research, the company themselves. It's very flattering to companies when you know a little bit about them, saw a recent event, an article, press release, whatever it might be. It shows that just that next level of initiative, because a lot of folks don't do that, and say, hey, I saw something on your website that really stood out to me. I'm also involved in this kind of organization, or, whatever that might be. Again, a differentiator. And then I always tell you, I'm going to revert back to the recruiter. Recruiter's a great tool to be able to prepare for an interview. We a lot of times know what questions will be asked, and we're not going to give the answer to the test, but we're going to help you study for it, right? And we're going to help you to know, like, this is what what they're looking for. This is what kind of opportunity lies beyond as well. So you can decide not only if that company's for you, but if you're for them. So it's a little bit of a two-way street there.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, especially I guess if you're new to an area and you don't know who's who or where anything is. I bet it is pretty sweet to partner up with someone who does know the area.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. So let's say you get to this new area, you landed the interview, everything's going really awesome, and you want to negotiate your salary, but standards of living are different. You're from Boston or Washington or DC, or you're from the country and you don't know what to ask for. How do you know what the standards of living are, and how do you know what to ask for your salary?
Yeah, this is a tough one, right? So negotiations sometimes are rattling, nerve-wracking, right? It's your livelihood, you work to make money. It is super important that when you go into an interview, you have a plan. And I always tell my candidates to have a number in mind. And to get to that number, you have to think about a couple of things, right? You have to have a great understanding of your bills and expenses, what you need to maintain the lifestyle that you're hoping to. You also need to know, what the market dictates here. Coming from a Boston or a California, we're going to have slightly different, mean or average pay per, what that skill set might be. Not always, but a lot of times you can expect that. So doing your research on that. There's great, material out there, whether it's, I think it's payscale.com that you can go to see, what the companies in your area are paying for what skill sets. Again, your local recruiter should have a good pulse on that market locally. And a lot of times I find that the recruiters have the more immediate pulse. Sometimes, it takes a while to generate data and build reporting and then post it on a website. A recruiter should tell you, hey, I have these jobs open. This is what they're paying. And that's real-time information, right? Yeah. And you have to also consider, you have to be fair with yourself. You have to be realistic. Say, hey, this is what my skill set's worth. If you're an administrative assistant, you're new into the workforce, and you're looking at 100,000, you kind of need to temper that. But also, if you have 5 years of experience and you were making a certain amount of money and you're used to a certain lifestyle, you don't want to settle either. So the last thing I'll say on that is, the dollar amount matters. What you say matters, but also the total comp package is important, right? Salary, benefits, PTO, upward mobility, future earning potential, bonuses and commissions. It's important, and I tell my candidates always, if you can, defer in the interview if asked about, compensation. I'd say, hey, Mr. Manager, I really appreciate you asking me about my salary requirements. However, that is something I would like to discuss if offered the opportunity and when I'm more familiar with the total comp package. So that way you don't pigeonhole yourself, right? Because you don't want to take less salary if you have 2 weeks of vacation right away. It just depends. So ultimately, though, you have a number you're comfortable with. And when you are asked, and if they are insisting that you say something at the interview or you're negotiating, just be confident in your number. You know, say it with some fervor and say it, you know, kind of definitively, and that will give you the best chance of starting off your negotiation on the right foot.
Yeah, that's true. And then especially with your package or your whole offer package,
Right.
whatever it might be, is that a proper time to ask for relocation assistance? Or if maybe I'm on the way to moving here and I'm looking for a job and I haven't moved yet, or if I've already moved and I'm looking for relocation help, what does that look like in a negotiation period too?
It's a great question. So typically the negotiation process, once we get an interview, you receive an offer. So after the interview process, but once you receive that offer, I would mention it, right? So you know, hey, we want to bring you on board. Great. I'm looking at relocation assistance. What are you guys able to offer? And I'll leave it open-ended like that and see what they say. A lot of companies nowadays, we are seeing, especially here, right? We just have a very transient population. So we're seeing a lot of companies step up and, you know, we're a growing market here, especially within our technology and our, you know, our big name companies want to get better talent here. So you have a little bit of negotiating power when it comes to, if you have a great skill set, I wouldn't be afraid to ask for sure. Yeah,
to at least start the conversation from there.
Absolutely. And everything's a negotiation, right? So you have the conversation started, that's half the battle.
Yeah, just getting your foot in the door, like you said. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. Any other tidbits that you'd like to add?
No, I know looking for work is tough, but there are great people, especially within the staffing industry, that would love to help out. Not knowing anyone can be a little bit daunting at times. However, there's great people in this industry, as I mentioned, that are paid to know what you need to know when you're out there looking. So don't be afraid to ask for help, I guess is what I'd say.
Yeah, and it definitely doesn't hurt to have someone on your side, especially like you said, when you don't know anyone, you don't know, you're just trying to find where the grocery store is, much less where you're going to get your next job.
And it doesn't have to be one person. Like obviously, I think WorkTech's great, but you know, put a lot of feelers out there. Work with who you feel best about. It's kind of like a real estate agent, right? So you want to work with the best person who feels like, you know, who you feel has your goals, skills, and interests in mind, and understands those the best. So I would interview people who you work with just like you would a realtor in terms of staffing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Tyler. I'll put Tyler's contact info at the end of this video as well. And feel free to comment any questions and I'll make sure to get those over to Tyler. But thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.